Hey there, peeps. I am back in my comfortable corner of the world. I hope you're in a comfortable corner in your corner of the world. It's strange going back to society or reintegrating back into society when you've been away, even if it's been for a couple of days, because at least for me, I become very used to the quiet and the, maybe not the solitude, because I do love socializing. Anybody that knows me in real life knows that I'm very social and very friendly. I like talking with people. I just love socializing. But I also enjoy my solitude to a certain extent, to a very big extent. I enjoy having time away. I don't enjoy it all the time. Like I said, I do like socializing. I do like talking with other people. I do love the interaction that I have with humans, but there are times when I become very fed up with other members of my own species. And I become fed up with some of the malarkey that some members of my own species do, and some of the nonsense that goes on in the society that we Homo sapiens have built. Sometimes I just get so sick of it and I need to retreat and go into hermit mode. And it helps. It really does. I think it's important to take a step back and distance yourself from other humans. And that doesn't mean that I consider myself higher than thou, or that I'm better than others, or that I don't make mistakes, or that I don't do things that annoy others, or that I'm not annoying. Of course I am. But I need to find my own self with a capital S outside of the annoyances or the annoying quirks of my peers or of other members of my own species. Right now in this country, things have gone upside down and I really don't know what's happening. I don't want to complain about politics, really. But things have really been terrible. Just terrible. Because I find that the people that are in power right now are very selfish, short-sighted, not thinking of others, greedy. And I've been thinking about greed. Right now that I was out in the desert, I was thinking about greed and how I've struggled with greed in the past, and that doesn't mean that I've never experienced selfishness. Oh, I sure have. I sure have been selfish at times. But I've worked on it. And I also find that the way that I was brought up, my mom always encouraged me to share, and so sharing was inculcated in my upbringing. So that played a factor, right? And I've worked on my own selfishness and my own greed. I've worked on it as an adult, because there are situations in your life where you just want something for yourself and you don't really want to share that. But what I have found is that I don't need to be greedy. I don't need to be selfish, because I have everything. And I'm not just talking about the material things, like shelter and food and a job and money in the bank. Not a lot of money, but, enough to survive in this in this economic world that is chaotic all the time, right? But I'm not talking about the material things. I'm talking about everything as in myself. And I can't really put this into words. I wish I had the words to explain what I mean when I say the self with a capital S, not the egoic self, but the self that it would be futile for me to try and explain it. But I have everything within me. And once you really understand that, once you find that essence, and essence doesn't even begin to describe it, but it's just that self, I guess. I'm going to use the word self for the lack of a better term, but then people are going to think, oh, myself, like as in your identity. Oh, my name is Megan, and I'm a woman, and I do this, and I do that. Like, you start to think of yourself like the character, the sim that you are in this dimension. But no, that's not what I mean. I mean the self that goes beyond this sim, this character, who you are, what you are. And I don't think, at least for me, I haven't been able to figure myself out fully. I've seen glimpses of myself, very big glimpses of myself, but I think there's more. I know that there's more than just what I have been able to understand and grasp. So when it comes to greed, I don't struggle with it anymore. I don't struggle with selfishness. I don't really struggle with jealousy. Of course, I am jealous from time to time. I do. It's not jealousy. The word isn't jealousy. It's more envy. I know those words are used interchangeably sometimes, but sometimes I become envious of so-and-so because maybe they have an experience that I want in my life, or maybe they've traveled to this country and I feel a little envious, But I've worked on it. I have really worked with my greed. I have really worked with my selfishness. I've really worked with my envy, my jealousy, realizing that I have everything within myself and that the experiences that I seek are a bonus for how my inner state already is. So it's kind of like the society that we've built is kind of like a carrot and a stick, right? You think that that situation or that material good or that experience will make you happy. So you chase, and then you finally get it. And then you're happy for like 5 minutes or 10 minutes or maybe 10 months. But then that is fleeting. That goes away. And then you're out chasing for the next best thing that you think will make you happy. And so it's this chasing all the time, thinking that that thing or that experience will make you happy. But really what you're searching for is the inner experience that is always content with what is. And it takes a lot of work to be content with what is, where you are in your life, what you have, what you've already achieved. That doesn't mean that you're going to stop having dreams and having goals, because it's important to aspire, to grow, to create in this lifetime, for this sim to learn new things about its own consciousness. It's important. But it's equally important to find that balance where you can become content with what your sim, what your character has been able to achieve thus far, and marvel at the wonder of consciousness, for being here, for being alive, for taking a deep breath, being able to do that, being able to just breathe, wake up, see, wow, I get to see color. And even if you're colorblind, and there's a misconception about people that are colorblind. I used to think that they would see black and white, but they don't. They just see different shades. But even then, you get to see. And even those that are blind, they get to hear, or they get to experience the world in a different way. Consciousness gets to experience life in a different way, from a different lens. Not through the eyes, or maybe through the ears, or through the arms, or through feeling, or through touch, but in a very innovative way that consciousness hasn't been able to experience in the past. So, anyway, with that being said, I don't feel like I struggle with greed or selfishness, because I find that I have everything that I need within myself. I have that strength. I can't really express it, and I wish I could. And I hope anybody that is watching this can find that. And maybe you have. And I've been the type of person that I've found myself with a capital S, but then I forget, and then I just get too wrapped up in the sim world that I just forget everything. And but then something grand happens, and then you remember who you are again. And I guess this game is about forgetting and remembering, forgetting and remembering, forgetting and remembering. And I guess the ultimate remembrance is death. But before that, we have to go through many different experiences through this lens, through the lens that you are. That's why it's so important for me to be authentic to who I am. And I've come to a point in my life where I really don't care what other people think of me. Of course, I care what the people, my kin, my friends, my family think of me. Like, if I'm going the wrong way, like if I'm risking my life at doing something, and they're like, hey Megan, you're going down the wrong road, it's really affecting your health or something, then I will care, right? I will listen, because I know they have my back. I know they're not coming from a place of greed or selfishness, or they want me to be in a bad situation. I know they come from a place of care. So I do care about what they think, what they believe. But I have had friends, my mother is a perfect example as well, where they believe that I should lead a certain lifestyle or do a certain thing, but even though I care about them, that's not what moves me, or that's not what I feel is my path. And that's where you need discernment, and you need to know, like, hey, what advice can I take from this person, and what advice do I leave and just follow my own heart, Anyway, going back to greed and selfishness, because I have everything I need, I don't feel the need to have more. And I find the people that are greedy, selfish, like the person in the White House right now, that they can't feel content with what they have. Those upper 1%ers aren't content with what they have and need more and more and more and more and more. And I ask myself sometimes, perplexed, are they going to take that with them when they die? Is any of that going with them? I mean, the ancient Egyptians believed that the things were going to go with the pharaoh, their prized possessions, but obviously not. They're still there in the pyramids, right? There's stuff that they wanted or that they loved in this lifetime is still there. They didn't take that with them. And that is the case with everything in our lives. We don't take anything with us. Anything, any material good. I think this world, one of the lessons that we have to learn, this world is so abundant. Like the resources that this earth, that Mother Earth provides, it can feed us all. It has enough resources, enough water, enough food for all of us, for all 8 billion of us to survive. However, there are people out there that become so greedy and so blinded by selfishness that they start to possess all of that and privatize all of that and have more for themselves and less for everybody else. But the earth is so abundant and so giving. And I think that that's one of the greatest lessons that we have to learn in this lifetime. We have to learn to share. There's so much abundance that it's easy to become blinded by greed. Greeted by blind, I was going to say, but blinded by greed and selfishness. There's just so many resources on this earth that it's so easy to want more. And I guess one of the lessons our consciousness has to learn is to play with this greed and this abundance. Like, know that this abundance is for everybody, and there is no need for greed. And realize that. But anyway, that's my take on greed and selfishness. I remember there was this one time, I don't know if I've told this story before. I was traveling and I was in Laos and I met this French couple and they were going to India. They were going to India, and I wasn't, in that particular trip, I wasn't planning on going to India. And I remember that I felt very I felt very jealous, or the word is envious, but I use it interchangeably sometimes. But I felt envious because I was like, oh man, I want to go to India. But obviously I didn't have the time, and I wasn't in the place where I could go to India at that moment. And, time passed. And after I've met that couple, and I met other people that were going to all these cool places that I wasn't going to. And I remember I was sitting on an island in Thailand, and I was in an island in Thailand, and I was sitting right in front of the beach. I was drinking a beer, and I was having the time of my life. Reggae music was playing in the background, and life was just amazing, just so chill. The weather was great, island life all the way. And I said to myself, oh my God, I'm living the life. And I realized at that moment that I want other people to experience what I was experiencing at the moment. And then I got this download. Megan, how silly of you to be jealous or envious about so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so for the places that they're going to. How silly of you. Megan, I got this download where it said, Megan, the world is for everybody. The world is for everybody to explore. Everybody deserves to explore this beautiful world. And I think that if everybody explored this world, the world would be very different, trust me, because we would understand each other, we would meet each other, we wouldn't go based off of stereotypes like, oh, this country is like this, or the people in this country are like that, blah, 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 blah. No, because we would meet them, and we would find that sometimes stereotypes, many times, these stereotypes are not true, and there's more depth to the people and to the country and to the culture. And so I realized the world is for everyone. It's for everyone to explore. And if I don't get to explore Mongolia or Pakistan or Kyrgyzstan or Kazakhstan, if I don't get to explore these countries, well, other members of my own consciousness will. There are people from Kazakhstan, the idea of we are all one. There are people that are me that live in Kazakhstan. And now I'm talking woo-woo, and this is becoming a very long video. But the world is for everybody, and if I don't get to explore every country in this world or every corner of this world, that's okay, because other members of my own species will. And this world is for everybody to explore, to be curious about. So, no need to be envious, no need to be jealous, no need to be greedy, no need to be selfish. It's all just an illusion, because there is so much abundance. And my own belief system is that I will return back. Not as in a reincarnated soul, necessarily, but as something else. Maybe as an energy, I don't know. I don't know what's out there, what's after this lifetime. Don't have a clue. But what I do know is that the world is for everybody, and that there is abundance everywhere, and that sharing is caring. Anyway, have a great day. Peace and love. And remember to share. Okay, bye.